Wow. So it's been a few months. I haven't uploaded a video in a while. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here, sorry. I've been moved everything over to my new house, and I also been working on a game in the free time. So, as you know, I recently developed Hamster Hunter, released it, and now I'm working on my second project. No, it's not Human Hunter, which that will be coming eventually. I am working on a extraction looter deck building RPG game. You might be confused because that's a genre I don't think has ever been done. I've looked and looked online and can't find anything on it, and it kind of just came to me throughout development and prototyping. I was actually working on the sequel to Hamster Hunter, which is Human Hunter, and Hamster Hunter was a little lackluster. Some of the things were really bad, so it made it really hard to go back, add updates and whatnot. So for Human Hunter, I didn't want this mistake again, and since I was moving and I hadn't coded in like 2 months, I thought I'd make a really small project I don't plan on finishing, just in order for me to be able to learn coding again and make it functional and nice and refresh my memory. Well, I did, but the project I was working on I started to really love, and here we are. It's actually just done its first playtest. I got a lot of really good feedback from players, and if you want to playtest it, join my Discord. I'm hosting playtests all the time, and if you join, playtest it, and record your gameplay, you can get a free copy of the game when it releases. So, like I said, it's an extraction looter deck building RPG game. You might be wondering, what is that? Well, let's just kind of discuss some of the core mechanics, because over the past month, I've been refining a lot of the systems and making them because the game's only been in development for about a month now. I plan on doing some visual and audio enhancements. Visual, not as in the looks, but as in like the effects. But I also need to add a lot of sound effects and then a better background track, because this is what it currently sounds like going from battle to not battle. Doesn't sound right. So, like any game development, there's been bumps along the way, particularly with balancing difficulty with this type of game. But I've made great strides, fine-tuning the player experience, and a lot of people really like it so far. I've gotten a lot of really good feedback. I wanted to thank everyone who's been active in the community, giving feedback, sharing your ideas and your input. It's been invaluable to shaping the game to be what it is. And I always look more forward for more feedback. So if you have thoughts or suggestions, please drop them in the comments or join the Discord. Let me know. So let me explain, what is the game? So if you've ever played Tarkov, this is easy to explain. If you ever played Slay the Spire and Tarkov, this is easier to explain. If you ever played Slay the Spire, Tarkov, and Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering or any deck building game, this is even easier to explain. But let me get into it. So you'll get cards, right? You start off with a starter deck and a starter weapon, a melee weapon, ranged weapon, and some skills and stats that you can create on your character. You then have this whole entire city that you can move from. It's on a grid-based system, so if you move to this block, it unlocks all the blocks around it. If you move to this block, it unlocks all the blocks around it. You can only move to the blocks near the block you're on. But whenever you enter a block, you're going to be prompted with a battle, and you're going to have to battle and attack these enemies and win the battle. And now here's where the really unique part comes into play. So it's like the Slay the Spire combat. If you're familiar with Slay the Spire, you'll know. But if not, you use cards to battle these AI. So you get into a battle and you use it. But the part where I differ from Slay the Spire, instead of having a card that deals 5 damage and a card that deals 7 damage, you loot, craft, and buy guns and melee weapons that justify what damage you do. So you'll have a card that deals 0.5 damage, but your melee weapon does 10 damage. So in reality, you're doing 5 damage. But eventually, you'll upgrade that melee weapon to do 20 damage, so that card's going to be doing 10 damage. That's where the meta progression and the progression overall comes into play. So you battle these enemies, you clear them out, and then you get loot. Then you move on further and further. But be careful. If you move too far, you're too far from your safe house. You're going to have to navigate all the way back through all of those battles and go back to your safe house. This is where you can accept quests, craft, buy, sell, and do a bunch of other things that I plan on working on. So this is where the extraction looter shooter from Tarkov comes into play. When you go out and do these battles, if you die, originally you would lose everything and restart. It was a roguelike game. But now if you die, you lose everything you have equipped. So every card you have in your deck, all your weapons, any gear you have equipped, etc. And so when you go out, you die, you lose all these. But you loot cards and gear and stuff from battles. So you'll have more at your safe house, right? So when you're at your safe house, after dying, you can restock. But you have 10 legendary cards and 5 common cards. And you have to have a deck size of, let's say, 10. That's not set in stone yet. Why would you use all your legendary cards? Because if you die, all of your legendary cards are gone. No more. You just lost everything you worked for. So this is where it comes into resource management, and you want to choose what cards you think are best. A lot of unique strategy. I always felt like the strategy from deck building games is trying to build the most optimized deck with what you have. Now this does that, but your deck's ever changing. You're always either adding cards, losing cards. So it's ever changing. And so the most optimized deck is really going to be hard to get. Once you get the possible most optimized deck, if you die, you have to really get back again. And there's so many features that I don't really think there's one optimized deck. And I plan on trying to make it where there's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 combinations of decks that are optimized and viable. But I digress. So you go out, grab loot, return, get more loot, put it on, equipped it, blah, 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 buy. Go back out, complete quest, return, go back out, die, reset. Gotta add more gear. So that's where the unique part comes from. And then, of course, the deck building part is from games like Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, and that's where you build your deck and choose what cards you want. It's a really unique idea. I'm not sure how I think it'll perform. Based on the surface, it's one of those ideas that I think either players can hate it or players can love it. It's something that players will really love and players will really hate. I'm not trying to make this a game that's going to sell millions of copies or anything. Like I said, I really did start it to get better at coding and expand my knowledge before working on Human Hunter, but I've just really liked working on it. So that's really what the game is, and that's where I've been. And I do have a lot of future plans looking forward. Planning on adding a bigger map, newer enemies, completely implementing the safe house system since that is not in yet. And I'm aiming for a playable demo soon. So I did the concept demo, which is what I called it, which is where it had the very base gameplay loop and had players play it just to see if they enjoy the concept. So far, a lot of people did. And so that's why I'm going to do a gameplay demo. So this is the concept plus some additional gameplay to get more of the general core gameplay loop down and more of the SFX and polishing down just to see what people think. It's not going to be like full fleshed out gameplay. It's just the very basics one, right? And then I'll do probably 2 or 3 more gameplay play tests before release and then kind of go from there. But really, it's been a lot of fun working on this. Sorry for the hiatus. I plan on adding a few devlogs for this game because I'm really enjoying it. Ran into a lot of unique problems and solutions with this game. One thing I'll say is I sucked at 2D. And so this system is the most jank thing you'll probably ever see is I really sucked at 2D. In my 10 years Unity experience, I've never done 2D. And I opened up a 2D project for this, started trying to raycast and find the card that I'm hovering, instantly got so confused and didn't feel like Googling it. I am one of the worst possible people whenever it comes to trying to learn through docs or anything like that. I hate it. All my learning has been from literally trial and error and asking a friend, hey, I'm getting an error, how to fix this, and then repeating it. I've very rarely learned officially from any docs, people, anything like that. But since I didn't know how to do 2D, I just flipped it around and it's 3D, just 2D camera view on these 3D models. You're clicking, it's crazy jank, but that's what I enjoy about game dev is coming up with unique solutions that work for me. If it's working for me, it's great. I'm not having any performance issues. Actually, I'm having great performance. So it's pretty impressive. But really, once again, if you're excited about the game or if you just want to follow my journey, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord community. The link is in the description. Thank you all for your patience and support. It really means a lot to me while I work on bringing this game to life. Until next time, take care, keep creating your games, and like I said, join the Discord. There's plenty of other devs in there. Kind of talk it out. I plan on making the Discord a little bit more dev oriented. It originally opened for me as a person for like my content for like previous videos I did prior to game dev and streaming. But now I want it to be a little bit more dev oriented and oriented about my games. So yeah, thank you. Have a good one. Bye.